And I bet she's really happy. I don't talk to her anymore because not that there's bad blood. It's just like we all went these separate ways, you know? So I want to make a difference. I don't want to, I do. I do make a difference in people's lives. And people make a difference in my life too. And I'm never too egotistical to go, oh, I'm this person, you know, and every once in a while I go, and then I get slapped down, you know, and going, oh, come on, man, we're all one. Yeah, right. I remember driving in my car once, and there was a guy in front of me, and he was just being such a douche driver. And just I'm like he's going in traffic, and it's like he's going, you know, he's going, and it's like I just seem to be following him wherever he's going. I'm going. It's like I'm watching him. He's getting more and more aggravated about it, and he turns down a street, and then I turn down the next street, and I see him. I park, and I see him park, and he gets out of the car, and he's a student of mine, who I love. You know, so it's that idea of, what are you holding on to? What are you holding on to? And what can you let go of? And I say let go of it all. Let go of it all. Do what you want to do. And when do you want to start? Start now. You know, people are waiting for an epiphany. And an epiphany isn't big skywriting things. An epiphany is that thing, that little thing. If you want an epiphany, you've had it. Because you've wanted it. And you go, oh yeah, I wanted it, which means that you want to make a change. How do I get on that?
Really good.
Really good.
Go ahead and get open it up now to questions that you guys have listening to all this. And I'm sure it's inspired questions, so shout them out.
Anything.
And go for it.
Yes.
You've mentioned Zen several times or something like that. Can you kind of describe the role that has in your life and when that influence came into your life?
Yes, it was about 3 years ago. Well, first off, this book, Buddhism Plain and Simple, by Steve Hagen, it's just so good, and he just lays it out. And there's nothing, you know, he just says, all the bells and whistles of Buddhism have nothing to do with it, really. That's his point of view, and that's great, and I agree with that. It's essentially the idea of you can only be where it is that you are, and you can only be present to the moment that you have. And once I start to practice that, and it is a practice, because a lot of people are going, oh, that's not true, it's not true. It's like, whatever you believe, that's great. If you want to believe it's not true, then it's not true for you. But what ended up happening was I really started to see that not just in improvisation, but I started to practice it in my life. And then I got turned on to, I had a breakup that was really hard, and I got turned on to this spiritual center in LA called Agape. Reverend Michael Beckwith, he was a featured teacher in The Secret, and he's got this. 1,500 people go to these services, and it's not a cult, it's not a church, it's just a spiritual place. And then it just opened me up to everything. It opened me up to a warmth and a connection to everything. And that really seems to, there's a lot of Buddhism there. And there's a lot of Zen to it as well. And the idea of coming into a scene and just letting the scene tell you what it's about. The Buddhist tenets are, what Hagen talks about in this book is, he says, the person is a stream. The person is a stream. And you can either go with the stream or go against the stream. When you go against the stream, you're working. And I feel like the scene is a stream. And you can either go with the stream, the scene is in charge of the scene, you're not in charge of the scene, or go against it. And if you go against it, you're pulling yourself out of it. And it is just what it is. It isn't anything more than what it is. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Yeah. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Someone at the back.
So, on a similar vein, how do you sort of do the tension between sort of the fact that anger is an emotion people have, and sometimes something happens, you'll feel angry? Suppose you're talking about that in the sense that, in some sense, if you're in a mindful acceptance state, then once you accept what happens, then sometimes the anger goes away, or like there's sort of a tension between this thing made me angry and, oh, I'm accepting the way the world is. So,
the Romance languages, they don't say I am angry. They say I have anger. I'm in possession of anger, or something like that, right? So there's this thing that when you are angry or not angry, you have anger. Which means that you can get rid of this anger. To look at it, to go, oh, I am angry, and to let that move on. The idea that I cannot control anything but my emotion toward that particular thing. I cannot make you make me less angry. I make me less angry. And when I look at what it is that you're doing that would make me have anger, I can go, okay, I'm going to release that. I'm going to surrender that. I'm not going to attach myself to that. And what am I going to do instead? I'm going to move on. Or I'm going to take a breath. And that breath is going to say, what it is that you think about me is none of my fucking business. Whatever you feel that is making me angry, it's what you feel. That's not my business. That's your business. You've got to deal with that anger. Am I making sense? Does that answer your question at all?
Yeah.
Did it?
Yes.
Yeah. Because again, if you are angry, you are not angry. You have anger. Right? And if you have anger, that's okay. You have anger. It's going to happen. I'm not saying don't be angry. If you're angry, be angry. But know that that anger can be moved away. Can be moved away. It's a practice. Right? So if you're in a scene and the two of you are angry in a scene, for example, if you're in a scene and two of you are angry in a scene, and you're mindful enough in that moment to say, oh, both of us are angry at this moment. I'm going to change that. I'm going to be happy. The next thing that that person says, in anger, fuck you, I'm going to go, oh my God, you want to fuck me? Here we are, angry at each other, and you want to fuck me now. Because I want to fuck you. Let's fuck. And you can be as angry as you want, because it's not my role. That's not my part. I didn't get cast in that part. Does that make sense? It's a practice, y'all. It's a practice. It's a practice. But here's the thing about that practice. It starts now if you want it. It's not going to be something else. You've got to practice it. You've got to go, I'm ready to take that on now. And I'm going to take that on now. Or you could wait. And if you're going to wait, you wait. That's okay. You're going to get it when you get it. But my feeling is, why walk through your world being angry or having anger all the time, or attaching yourself to it? Fucking let it go. Yeah.
You talked at the beginning of the discussion about the difference between actors and improvisers. And in your opinion, like if you encounter a student who's just an improviser, not an actor,
who considers themselves...
Yeah, or someone who came from, as you said, like in the several decades ago, like the teachers were coming from an acting background. If you deal with someone who has just come in at the improv level without a lot of the acting background as you've experienced it, when dealing with that person, do you feel like there's just something that they're missing that has to be added, or something has to be sort of unwound and then rebuilt?
I used to say, I have to unteach you, and then I thought that's not really fair, because I don't want to take anything away from you. I don't want to take any of the training away from you. My focus is to make you mindful, to make you present, to realize that you have everything that you need. There's nothing else that you need, other than a mindful presentness. And I don't mean to be redundant in that, which is so fun to say, a mindful presentness. I just want you to be aware of what you're feeling in that moment. And if I'm watching you improvise, and I'll suddenly watch you have an epiphany, a change, a revelation, a turn, a transformation, and then you aren't acknowledging it, I will stop you and I'll go, you feel differently now than you did 3 sentences ago, don't you? No, you don't. You do. Yeah, I guess I do. And then I'll say, what moment happened? When did that moment happen? And you'll go, oh yeah, I did feel differently in that moment. And then everything will change. So all that I'm doing, I'm not adding anything other than the conscious presentness of it all. Does that make sense? I'm not adding anything other than you being aware, awake, alive, enlightened. And we all have it at any moment. What story are you telling yourself about yourself? Because that's your story, you know? And you want to let that go, you let it go. You know? And that's all I'm asking people to do, is are you present, are you here in the moment? Or are you deciding that, no, I wouldn't do that, I can't do that, I don't do that, my family doesn't do that, we don't do that. I'm the type of person who, whenever I hear people say that, I'm like, really? What if I told you you're the type of person too? Would you get upset? I'm not the boss of you. be whatever it is that you need to be in that moment. Make sense? Yeah.
Do you find that even in long form, that you go moment to moment like that? I find it easier in short scenes to do it, but when you get a big piece.
Oh no, I all the time in long form, all the time. I only do long form.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm feeling like, it's long form. We get to do whatever we want. It's long. So I get to have this beginning. I get to start a scene and then see where that's going to go. So I only do it in long form. And I love it because like you and I are going to be doing a scene together and we're going to be able to see where it's going to go. And the wonderful thing about the work that I do, certainly in my classes, and you are all welcome to my drop-in classes in LA. My drop-in classes in LA, no one is in the back line waiting to cut you off. So there's no ego back there. There's no ego here. You are able to unfold, unfurl, and develop that. I mean, my God, you have all the time in the world. Isn't that wonderful? You know, not to go, oh, I got to come to a punchline right now. I got to get to that scene, or I got to figure it out. The audience needs to laugh. You know, when the audience isn't laughing and I'm doing a scene, in my mind, I'm thinking, they are stunned. They are just stunned. I'm not bringing negativity into that thing. Because the moment that that happens, my ego gets involved, and suddenly I am no longer present to my partner. And my partner is everything to me. My partner tells me who it is that I am. I need you to tell me who it is that I am. Isn't that great? You tell me, I could be sitting here and thinking, I'm a doctor, and then you suddenly say, God, you're the best janitor in the world. I'm going, oh, I'm a janitor. I'm accepting that. Others? Yes.
Other than just deciding you want to be in the moment, can you offer any insight as to how to get out of your head and,
Yes.
and just to become present?
Yes. Look at your partner and ask yourself what they're feeling. And then tell them. Does that make sense?
Tell them what they're feeling?
Tell them what they're feeling. Tell them. So in other words, it's like, so if I do this, okay, Alan, I want you to just sit in your chair and do the way. Right. Would you nod to me when he has?
He has.
Right, good. So I'm going to look at him right now, and I'm going to tell him how he's feeling. She's never coming back, Bob. In that moment, I'm outside myself and seen. In that moment, you know what I mean? In that moment, I'm taking it off of me.
It's not.
It's all, I have nothing to do with this. So in that moment that I tell Alan that, okay, so I say to Alan, get over it, she's not coming back. I'm casting him, aren't I? Who else am I casting?
Your
Me.
relationship.
I am casting him because I'm the guy that calms him down in this moment. And if I'm that guy that calms him down, I guarantee you at the end of the scene, he's the guy that calms me down. Because I need to keep going in the direction that I'm faced. So in that moment, all that I'm dealing with is him. At the core of every scene is not conflict. Let's fucking stop saying that. And then let's call it for what it is. It's pressure, tension, and dynamic at the core of every scene. Because if you say conflict is at the core of every scene, your scene is always going to be about argument. But if I say pressure, tension, and dynamic is at the core of every scene, then what we get to do is, I get to play a part, a role, cast in a role. I cast him, he took the casting, I cast myself, I take the casting, I play that part out. Right? Hamlet doesn't suddenly become Othello. He is Hamlet. And he is Hamlet, and he is fucking Hamlet. You know? And the guy that's playing Hamlet isn't going to go to the director and go, look, Nancy, I did have a girlfriend in the audience, and we just started going out, and she can't see that I'm a little crazy. Can we make it like he shoots somebody at the end? It's like, no, that's not going to happen. You know, Hamlet needs to be Hamlet. My character needs to be my character. So in that beginning, I go, I am in this moment right now, my ego is not involved. Did I answer your question?
Brilliant, thank you.
Yeah, good. Yeah.